Alright, I've got my fold, and it's just out of the way, it's not attached. Then I've got my notch where that marks the center front, and I have that lined up with the edge of the collar. This is not attached because in a minute I'm going to fold it backwards. So I lined up that notch, then I carefully lined up my shoulder notch on my collar with my shoulder seam. And that will help you be more careful about where you put your shoulder notch and your collar notch. Okay, in my center back I've got, so now I'm going to work backwards again. I'm going to start with, I don't want to put it next to my fold, so I'm putting the edge of the collar at the center front so that the two parts of the collar will just touch when they're sewn together. And then I'm coming back the other way, and I'm making sure that all of my edges are lined up exactly. My shoulder notch matches my collar notch. And then any easing is spread evenly across the back. And this is easier to do with this open and flat. And I could stitch that together if I'm more comfortable doing that. But you can do it all at once. So if I fold this back now, my front facing, I fold it backwards exactly right there on the fold. And there should be another notch right there that lines up with the collar. So I'm just taking my pins out and putting them back in the same place. I want to make sure that this stitching line lines up exactly on top of the other stitching line. So my shoulder seams are right on top of each other. Sometimes you have to I've got my seams pressed open flat, but if you happen to have serged them and they're both going the same way, then you could make them go opposite directions so that one pair is this way and the other pair is back. Now I'm going to line up my center back facing notch. So my body is face up. My collar is face up on top of the body. And then my facings, as they fold back, are now right sides together with the collar, so that when I move them out of the way, it finishes the inside. But I'm just making sure that the facing part that's attached folds back on top of everything else exactly where I want it. And I'm lining up the shoulder seam on the other side. And I've got everything eased in. So I've got the collar was finished on the outer edge, and I've got the body layer right side up, the collar layer right side up, and the facing has folded back over it, face down. And now I'm going to start sewing right here at this edge, because I want the whole thing to be finished. And that's going to be a little awkward, isn't it, with that? I decided to put the iron where you could see it.